You've selected a show from the Podcast Jukebox, a DIY podcast network.
It's Will Sean Podcast. The internet cried out for 2 more blowhards, and they courageously answered that call. Armed with the weapon of wit, each week they're joined by guests to discuss movies, television, pop culture, and anything else that's pissing them off. Take it away, boys.
I'm Will Link.
And I'm Sean David.
And this is Will Sean Podcast?
Only with the strength and wisdom granted to us by the Tibetan mystic, one of the 7 masters of the 7 ways, Dijwal Kul. How are you doing, Will?
I don't even know anymore.
No?
I'll be honest with you.
Totally on board.
Everything is falling apart.
Is this because of the bar closing?
We're going to get to that. I mean, by time we're done with this podcast...
Yeah.
People might not have health care.
Oh, that, right.
The world is, the only positive thing I have is that I'm going to London in about a month and a half.
You're assuming London will still be there. The whole island won't Brexit into the sea.
I'm worried that somehow there'll be some ban on people leaving America that'll be put into place before I can leave.
Well, what we'll do, worst case scenario, we smuggle you over the border and you catch an Aeromexico flight from Tijuana to Heathrow.
At this point, I'll do it.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, I'm giving it a 50-50 chance I return at this point.
That you just like, screw it, I'm here?
Screw it, I'm here, I might as well stay.
Things ain't looking no go. I'll see you again in 3 years, assholes.
I do have a wedding I have to go to, so I guess I will return.
You can just, like, they can, I don't know, FaceTime you in.
Yeah, they should.
Then listen, I can tell you right now, bride and groom, they're not going to remember a fucking thing from that wedding. They only know that you were there or not because you show up in a picture.
You know who'd remember everything from their wedding? Me.
The North remembers.
I would. Yeah, the North would remember too.
Yeah.
So how are you? What's going on in the world of Will Sean Podcast?
We are doing well. If we have any new listeners that have found us due to our affiliation with the Podcast Jukebox Network, thank you so much for listening to the show. If any of you have found your way here because you are Orphan Black fans and you took a terrible wrong turn into a deep, dark forest, once again, you are welcome. If you like what you're hearing, please make sure you subscribe to us on iTunes, leave us a star rating, leave us a nice comment, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, all the usual things that every podcast asks you to do, but we're just doing it better.
Yeah, we are doing it better.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're better than those fucks.
Yeah, fuck them. What is this? Those Slate and The Ringer and NPR, what do they have on us? Nothing.
I listen to too many podcasts now, too.
Yeah.
I'm listening to all these Game of Thrones podcasts.
Which ones are you listening to?
I'm listening to Slates. I'm listening to Entertainment Weeklies.
You don't need so much Game of Thrones. You just need the 60-episode binge watch from The Ringer.
I'm not doing The Ringer. I don't like their show.
Fine.
Who's our sponsor this week?
The U.S. government wants to help you discover who you are, announcing the new American Genetic Heritage Project. Starting next year, our highly trained heritage agents will go city to city, street to street, and door to door in order to help you discover what kind of true American you really are. All we need is a little bit of hair, spit, or blood, and in 10 minutes our agents can identify exactly how deep your roots go. With this newfound knowledge, we here at the United States government will gladly help to relocate you so that you can more easily be with others who share your similar genetic makeup. Together, we will make a stronger America with the Heritage Project.
This seems not scary at all.
No, I think you'll be fine.
I probably will be, actually. Yeah. On the show today, speaking of government, soon Kid Rock will be part of our government. We will discuss. Then, the greatest bar in the history of bars.
Cheers.
Is closing.
Moe's Tavern.
We will discuss.
The bar that the Flintstones drink at.
And, I got a new phone. Naturally, everything about it is shit. I will have some words for it. But first, we are very excited to have with us today. She has a terrific show, solo play, that I recently saw her in called Shattered. She's an amazing actress. Diana Varco.
Hi everyone.
How you doing?
For having me.
Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
So,
I saw your show.
Oh, thank you so much.
And I
appreciate that.
It was great. It was legitimately great. If it wasn't, I probably wouldn't have said come on the podcast to talk about it.
Oh my gosh, I'm so grateful you saw it.
But before we get into that.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny that before we get into that, I want to hear your origin story because the play itself, talking about the play, covers so much of who you are.
Yeah.
But first, I want to get your origin story. Where are you from originally?
So I'm from, I say Denver, Colorado, but it's really the suburbs of Colorado, of Denver.
Okay, like Littleton?
Like, oh, you know Littleton.
Well, we all know Littleton.
Oh,
Who doesn't know
right.
Littleton? Yeah.
There's been...
Things.
There's been some events that have happened in Denver. No, I'm from a place called like the Centennial area.
That's a made up.
I went to Cherry Creek High School. It's usually people from Denver, if you say that, they always are like, oh, you went to that high school? So that's kind of how I say the geography.
Now,
it's high school related.
This is some deep Denver cuts we're doing here right now.
It is. But it's,
For all our golden nugget heads out there.
People who know Denver know what I'm saying.
Cherry Creek sounds like, first of all, like the most American place.
Isn't there one in New Jersey? That's Cherry Hill.
And then also, when you said the way, the tone they say about your high school, is that because your high school was hoity-toity or like garbage high school? Like, I wasn't sure. It could go either way.
It was a very affluent hoity-toity school with good sports, good theater. I mean, we had a fantastic theater program and great music program. And there were a lot of people who were rich. I wasn't, but that was okay too. You know,
were bussed in from the other part of town.
No, we just weren't rich. But some people were bussed in.
Well, so you said high school had a really good theater program, so I imagine that's
great theater program.
That's where you started getting the acting bug?
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, I started acting really young. I started acting probably about like 5, 6.
Like professionally or just to piss your parents off?
Oh, well, depends on which parent you talk to.
Okay.
My mother loved me being an actress. She put me in all the plays and all this, classes. My dad, not so much, but that's okay. He helped encourage me to go more at the academic route. So, yeah, I did theater all throughout high school, and then I went to college for theater. And I dropped out. So I listened to both parents, apparently.
Okay.
I dropped out of the theater program and got a history degree. And
more practical.
Oh, yeah. So much more valuable. And then I ended up doing acting out here about a decade later.
So did you come out to Los Angeles then after finishing college?
I was in Boston, where I went to school. I went to Boston University.
Oh, okay.
For theater until I dropped out, and then I worked for a couple of years in investment companies, and I worked for this terrible law firm too for a while, and I just found that I was really playing a part by working in an office. I would wear my hair a certain way, I would wear the clothes that everybody wore, and just pretend I knew what they were talking about when I was doing investments. But I didn't, and then I can relate to this. And then I finally was like, you know what?
Can I?
Let's just go do it. So then I packed up and moved out here.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Nice. And you've never looked back?
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you, because we get, so many people we've had on the show have had similar experiences, at a certain point making that decision to come here.
Yeah.
Did you know anyone? Did you have any support system? Was there anyone out here, or did you just head west?
I was really lucky. I had friends from high school. I had friends from college. I had people I knew, and a lot of people I hear talk about how difficult it is to make friends in LA, and I've found that through people I knew or through different connections, I have made really good friends. But I think life in general in LA is it can be isolating because we're just all so busy and we're in our cars. But I was really lucky. I had people I already knew.
Okay.
Now you came out here, obviously LA, big film place.
Oh yeah.
So, you've done theater. You're a theater major. Did you come out here specifically I want to get into film? Was that the goal?
I think I didn't really know what the goal was. I think I just was I want to be acting. And something inside of me was go to LA. So I was like, all right, let's try it. And I had people I knew, and I figured that it was now or never to move across the country. So...
You kind of just have to, when you feel it, you just kind of have to do it, otherwise you'll never do it.
That's what I kind of felt like. I felt like a door was opening, and I didn't really know. I knew I wanted to act, but I didn't quite have the plan in place. But I was excited to get into TV and film, and I didn't really know what type of acting I wanted to do. I just wanted to do it all. but part of me still always wants to go back to New York and do theater in New York. But the more I'm out here, the more I get excited about all different types of art that I'm part of. Actually, storytelling is what like really excites me the most.
That's grabbing you now.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean that makes sense because even your solo show, I mean, it's, I guess anyone who's doing a solo show about themselves, it's just a long form storytelling on the stage there.
Yeah, and I feel like acting is a form of storytelling. So, you know, a lot of actors, we're creators, we just want to tell a story in different ways.
And you've done like a lot of like improv and sketch stuff as well out here?
Yeah. When I first moved out here, I got involved in the improv scene. I'd done it in Boston. And I went into UCB and Groundlings. And that's really where I found like a lot. I think that anyone who moves to LA should just go do improv because that's where I found so many friends and such a great community.
Even if you came out here to like work in a waste management company,
do improv.
Investment banking, doesn't matter.
Do improv.
Just do improv.
If you're here for a week, go do improv or just go to the improv theaters. You'll make friends.
Forget Hollywood. Forget the tourist sites of the ocean. No, go to a one-on-one class.
Go to improv. And so anytime I meet like someone who just arrived, I'm always like, go do improv.
Yeah. That's what you'll get. That's what you'll meet a bunch of other like-minded people who just are, moved here.
Or who are just having fun and like it's a good place to find collaborators and
Interesting.
Now, before we get into your show, exactly something that you wrote and created yourself, I was also looking at your like project you've done. You've done like some internet stuff and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How important though is it that nowadays to utilize that as a tool, and also that do you find, like, I feel like 20 years ago you could have came out here and you could have gotten some like acting gigs and stuff like that, but now I feel like if you don't create your own web series first and have, so how's that experience? How's balancing stuff like that? Do you find that how necessary that is?
I feel like it's very necessary because you're not waiting around to have people put you in the projects, and instead you're also finding your comedic voice or you're finding your artistic voice, which is very empowering. And then you also have footage, so then you can show people your work, you can show people your skills.
Right. As opposed to having to be in a bunch of stuff enough that you can cobble together a reel.
Exactly, and sometimes it's not shot right or it doesn't have good sound or this. Yeah, and I also think it's really fun. It gets momentum going too.
But it's funny to me because it feels like being an actor isn't good enough anymore in a weird way. Like you also have to be a writer. You do you enjoy writing? Like I mean, was this okay? So this lucked out for you.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like I find I came out here to be an actor, and the more that I am out here, I'm finding that my real passion is writing and performing what I write. So I think they all go hand in hand.
Okay.
But some people want to just be an actor, or just be like some people want to be just one thing, and that's totally fine too.
And I guess both of them feed off each other and make you better. Like writing makes you a better actor, and acting makes you probably a better writer. I know I had to take some acting courses in college because I went to film school, and at the time I did not want to take these courses because I'm like, I don't want to act. Why am I taking this? And they were very like outside everyone's comfort zone.
Yeah.
But I do think they made all my student films that I made then, and even the writing I've done since then, better because of it.
Oh, definitely. And I think you can also then understand the other person's perspective better too. Like I have no desire to direct, but if I did, then I would see it from the director's perspective, so then I would know how to work better with the directors.
Okay, so let's talk about Shattered.
Yes, Shattered. It's an uplifting family comedy. No, it's not.
It's just, well...
It is. But
I wouldn't...
It is a more dramatic title than that.
Has some... It goes to some dark places.
It goes very raw, very dark, very deep, and it's a true story of various difficulties that I've lived through, tragedies, but told in a comedic way so that people can understand the process of dealing with that kind of stuff.
Well, that's one of the things I really enjoyed about
Well,
it.
I'm the only one here that doesn't know what the content of this.
Oh yeah, you know, we will.
Let me be the audience surrogate here.
Yes, I was gonna get to that question.
Okay.
Yeah.
She gave me a good segue, but I will get back to that. Why don't we? I saw it when it played at the Hollywood Fringe Festival.
Yes, it just closed at the Hollywood Fringe.
And why don't you, for Sean and everyone else out there,
Hi, everyone else. Hi, Sean.
Hello.
tell us exactly what it is about.
Do the whole
Yes.
show right now.
Okay. No, so it's Shattered is about it's a story of dating, frigidity, and trauma recovery.
Okay.
So it basically talks about how our sexual boundaries are crossed in various ways, and it talks about sexual assault. It talks about suicide, family abuse cycles, and I use characters to talk about the varying perspectives because I was sexually assaulted in 2009, the first year that I moved to Los Angeles, and I always say that it shattered my life. It completely shattered me into so many pieces that I'm still continually always trying to put them back together again. So Shattered is basically the process of me putting them back together again. I use the context of my shattered mind. So I play shame, I play denial, I play truth. I play about 35 characters of my mind, of my past, sometimes of the room. And it's very fun, it's very fast paced, but yes, it goes very, very dark.
But that's what I was gonna say. It's, you know, when you say that, people are like, "Oh my God, what am I in for?"
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, because I came to your show and I didn't really know you that well.
Right.
So I went into this being like, I've seen a lot of like one man, one woman shows where it's like, oh my God, this is just a therapy session.
Right.
And I have to watch this, and when this is over, I'm going to have to say
something nice.
Yeah, say something
Yeah.
nice, and I spend the whole time. But your show was never not entertaining.
Oh, thank you.
You were able to inject a lot of humor into it, and I think a lot comes from these characters that you take these different emotions and you give them different voices, different personalities, different physicality.
Yes.
Which I mean, when the play started, if I'm not mistaken, I think you come out as like.
Yes.
One, I can't remember which one.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head.
The central character is shame, so I start with shame.
Yeah.
Because that, for many people, I think regardless of what you've lived through, shame, guilt, we all have it.
Especially for Queen Cersei Lannister.
Oh.
Shame.
Shame. I know. Oh, it's getting so good, Game of Thrones.
Oh, it is.
I know.
It always is.
I love it.
You know, just on that point. Like I was on the phone with my father the other day, and we were talking about Game of Thrones. He goes, "You know, this is just the best show ever made." He's like, "There's nothing even close." He's like,
so
"There's
good.
nothing even close. There's nothing like it." And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess I can't disagree with you."
I rewatch it all the time. And I know there are certain things I don't agree with, but I watch it all the time. I'm obsessed.
The actor who plays Hot Pie, sidebar, actually runs a bakery in London, and he sells it's called You Know Nothing John Doe.
Oh, stop it. That's
100%.
so funny.
And he makes Game of Thrones themed like direwolf bread and things like that. Yeah.
If Hot Pie,
You need to go there when you go to London.
I was gonna say,
I don't know if it's in England or in London, but if it's in London, you need to go.
I was
Whoa.
gonna say, if Hot Pie hadn't been on this week's episode, were you gonna hold this information back?
No, it
from
only
me?
came out. No. It was only something that came out, and it came to my attention because he came back on the show.
Okay,
That's so
I thought
funny.
you've been sitting on this for years.
No, but back to your cycle of abuse and trauma.
Right.
But no.
By the way, I do love that name, though. You Know Nothing John Doe.
Yeah.
Very funny. Puns are amazing.
Yeah.
I'm looking into this
Yeah.
the second this podcast
Exactly.
is over. But anyway, so
Yeah, back to the show.
I mean, did you always have the idea? Like, what made you decide I'm going to tell this through these different emotional characters?
But actually, let me take a step back on that. At what point did you even decide that you were ready to grapple with this in a way that you felt comfortable? Was this something you had workshopped in smaller ways, or did you just dig in and say, I need to do this and let me figure out the best way to present the material?
Well, I was avoiding it for a long time. I mean, I would talk about it in various ways. I was definitely going through therapy. I was
Right.
going through group therapy. I was trying, and that comes up in the show, is all the various ways I tried to get myself to be better. So I was working on healing in many different ways. And what really was the impetus for me to write the show, or to have the idea to do a show at one point, is that all the rape comments I would always hear, all the people joking about it, all the people really insensitive, not knowing, not understanding. And before it happened to me, I would make those jokes too. But being in the comedy scene, I was constantly in rape scenes. I was constantly having to leave classes crying, getting re-triggered. And I remember I once went to therapy in the morning, and then I went to an improv class. And in that improv class, everyone was laughing about a scene where it was Jack the Ripper, and they were like, "Oh, is it Jack the Ripper or Jack the Raper?" And that was the whole scene.
Well, that's some hilarious comedy right there.
And everyone was like off their rockers, going so excited. They were so excited, and I would just like stare at the wall, and I would disassociate because I didn't want anyone to know. And I have so many experiences like that I was like, okay, I need to write a show where people understand the experience of how what the psychological fallout of sexual abuse is.
Yeah.
And I wanted to, and then I would get sidetracked by another creative project, and I would put it to the shelf, and I'd be like, no. Yeah. I want to be an actor. I want to be creative. I want to be funny. I want to be this funny person. And then I ended up going to another friend's solo show, and this is probably over the span of like 8 years that I was grappling with trying to heal, trying to like pretend it didn't happen, trying to be funny in the improv scene. And then I went to a friend's solo show, and she played all these various characters to like tell her story. And I was like, oh, I can use comedy to tell this story. And there were parts of it that I knew I couldn't leave out. There were parts of it I was very scared to tell people. I still am. But the little characters I have such fun doing, and the story now it hurts me, but it's more a story that I enjoy telling.
You kind of, in a way, take away the power of what happened by turning it into art and turning it into this other thing and this positive thing.
Yeah, but it's a story. I still have side effects. Like, I'm not gonna
so
lie,
the question is, just kind of thinking through the process of dealing with trauma, because that's what we're doing here. We're not talking about Game of Thrones pun bakeries.
Although it's very dramatic, Game of Thrones, but yeah.
It is. Well, you saw what Arya did with that pie.
She's so good.
So, by taking it and fictionalizing it, by turning it into something else, do you find that it's helpful for you to move past it as much as is possible, or is it just another way to compartmentalize it so you could say, I've locked all that up into this thing here, and it's become safer now?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I think it's a necessary step of healing. I think I remember going through therapy, my therapist said that one way that people who've been through trauma heal is by owning their story, and by saying this happened, and saying I shouldn't be ashamed, it happened to me. And I think that because it's somewhat outside of myself now, I feel more at peace, because it's not like I'm just telling people one-on-one. It's that I'm not holding other people's secrets and shame.
Okay.
And I think that's what, I don't know, I think that's an aspect of trauma or of anything that people go through. When you hold somebody else's secrets, you take on the ownership of it when it was never yours to begin with. It was something that happened to you.
Okay.
But it does affect me. I would say it does affect me emotionally on a different level. It's very draining emotionally and physically.
To perform it?
Yeah. So I'm having to find that I have to up self-care afterwards. Like I can't, I guess it's affecting me in a different way.
Well, that was honestly getting on what I was going to ask, because you're dealing with such high emotions. And how many shows did you do at the Fringe Fest?
At the Fringe, I did 5.
Okay, but still, that's a lot of shows, and that's a lot of, like I said, each character has a different physicalization. Every this is more of an acting thing. Like, is there as someone who can't act, I'm always impressed by people who can get up there for like an hour and do something like that. Like, how do you keep all that straight? How did you keep all those characters, even when in the early process, like making sure everybody had this voice and honing all those? Like, can you tell us a little bit of what that process was like?
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, I've done years of Groundlings, and so I had a lot of character development skills from them, and it's just something naturally that I gravitate towards is always making something into a character or personifying it. All growing up, like that was kind of partly how I got through a lot of the things I went through, was to pretend to be something else, basically. So characters are just something I go towards, and they become easier for me to do rather than sometimes playing myself even. So like the hardest character for me to play is actually myself in the show, especially when I talk candidly to the audience.
That character also doesn't have a gimmick.
Right. It's
like
just
the
me.
other character, and I don't mean to call it a gimmick, but like it doesn't have like
there's no artifice around it.
A voice like this. Yeah, you do that voice. Give us some voice of one of the characters.
This is truth. Diana, and here's a cold.
See,
That's
there you
true.
go.
I love him.
And
He's
you're
great.
balancing all that out. It was very impressive.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's, with the characters, learning all of them, I had to just, I really had to drill it. And even between shows, I drill it almost every single day to keep because it goes very, very fast. And I snap between different physicalities too. So at the very, very fast moments, I have to drill them, because if I don't have the physicality right, I won't have the lines right.
Right, that one leads and feeds the
Yeah,
other.
it was interesting. Learning the lines, I had to do it on my feet and in my body.
So what is the future for Shattered?
So I am going to try to, my goal is to have it seen by as many people as possible. And yes, as an actor, I want to see them, me perform, but it's more I want as many people as possible to understand and to know the story. So I'm doing it at the end of August 27th, at an organization called Level Ground. It's in Pasadena.
Okay.
August 27th doors open at 7:30. It's going to be at 8 p.m. The show, and it's salon style, so it's like basically in a living room. And then I'm also doing it in New York in September for the
Nice.
United Solo Festival, sorry. And then I'm also doing it, and that will be September 19th at 9 p.m. And that's right on 42nd Street, so I'm very excited about that.
Oh, that's gotta be thrilling.
I can't wait. And a lot of my very good college friends, my sister will see it for the first time,
Oh.
so I'm pretty excited to show that to people that are very close to me and don't know a lot of the story. And then I'm also doing it at the end of September for the Outdoor Voices Festival here in Los Angeles.
Are there a lot of theater festivals then that you can bring this around to? Because I mean, obviously, like I'm come from more the film world. I know there's
Yeah.
a film festival everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
But is theater the same way?
Yeah, there's theater festivals. You can definitely do fringe festivals. I'd love to take it to Edinburgh and to some other really great fringe
You
festivals.
should.
Thank you. Yeah, I hope in the next few years. And then definitely to colleges. That would be colleges and organizations are really who I would like to take it to the most. I think colleges would really benefit from the story. So we'll see.
So where can we find all like the dates and deets about this? If if someone just listened to this and didn't have their pen ready to write it down, is there a
And well, shame on you for not having a pen on you at
You
all
need to
times.
have your pen.
And never forget a towel.
Is there a place on the internets where they can go to see all this and find out more about you?
On the World Wide Web. Yes, you can go to my website, which is dianavarco.com. Or you can follow me at Diana Varco on Twitter or at Shattered Solo.
And if you're
On
a
Twitter.
good listener of the podcast, you have already been to our website because we have a link to it on our Facebook page.
Yes. Yes.
So speaking of trauma, how about our government?
Oh my God, I'm so just...
Excited.
Yeah, because things are about to get a whole lot better.
Oh, geez. It's like what...
Things are about to rock
What are you doing?
with Kid Rock.
Oh, cute.
I actually held back on that yell because
did
I'm
you?
like, I have neighbors.
Well, you know what? They need to know who they're going to vote for.
Exactly. Put a sign up.
So Kid Rock has announced he is running for Senate. In the past, I would have said this is stupid. There is no way he could win. I still say it is stupid, but now part of me thinks, well, yeah, the people of Michigan, I almost said the good people of Michigan, the people of Michigan might vote for him.
Yeah, we might see that happen.
So a couple of things. I saw it today, and I didn't actually click on the article. I should have, seeing as we're going to be discussing it tonight. But apparently that was a publicity hoax that I don't know how real that is. But once Kid Rock announced that he was going to be running, a lot of information started coming up about the young Kid Rock's life and upbringing when he was a little child rock. Apparently he grew up very wealthy, very upper middle class in like Dallas or something. And everyone's like, this bullshit man of the people stuff. Like, you're not man of the people. Your parents had like 7 houses, and he was raised in opulence.
Fake dirtbag.
But that's more in line with how our government is now. So
look at the Bushes. They pretended they were like farm folks. Like, no, you're New England blue bloods. Get out of here.
I want to see a Michigan Senate election between Kid Rock and Eminem.
Oh yeah.
And
what do you mean? It's gonna be Michael Moore.
I think that Eminem would win.
Is Michael Moore thinking of running?
No, but he may have to go to stop, Kid Rock.
Oh, jeez.
All wonderful Michiganders, a lot of them.
That's a lot.
Now, celebrities, though, running for office are nothing new.
Right.
No.
I mean, we live here in California.
Yeah.
We've had multiple actor governors.
Ronald Reagan
Yeah.
was an actor. Arnold Schwarzenegger, actor.
Would someone being a...
Well, so we had Sonny Bono, Al Franken. It's not uncommon.
Would someone being a celebrity more influence you think, ever to vote for them?
No. I think that, like, the type of celebrity they are would. But
it was George Clooney.
George Clooney, I don't know.
Okay.
It depends on what year of ER.
Okay, well, let's... honestly,
Which movie?
Here's another thing, because, Clooney is... We're all like-minded pretty much with Clooney's politics. Kamala Harris is our senator here in California. I think she's great.
Yeah.
But, we didn't really know a ton about her, right? I mean, she was the Attorney General of the state. But we didn't...
The prettiest Attorney General, if you hear some people talk about it.
So, let's say she had been running against George Clooney. Let's just say. Do you think the fact that he's George Clooney would influence you? Be like, well, I do like that George Clooney, and their politics are similar. I'm going to go with Clooney. Or do you think you would be like, I'm going to go with the career politician, and then does it even matter? Because, like, Clooney's actually probably would make a pretty good politician.
I think it depends on who it is, though, because, like, I think I would look at their career and their politics and see which one I align with more. But I bet some people would be like, I like George Clooney. I could see people doing it. I mean, look what happened with our president.
Sean, what would you say, like, a celebrity has no business being in politics?
No.
I don't agree
I don't
with
think
it. No,
so.
and a lot of the characteristics that are required of a good politician, I mean, there's a lot of theater. There's a lot of you got to stay on message. It's no different than going on a press junket. You gotta stay on message. Well, you used to. I don't know how things are now. But there's more theater to politics than there actually is politicking. I mean, look at most of these Congress people are entertaining. They know how to schmooze. They know how to do the stump speech, and they're all idiots. Once they get there, they don't actually know the job. They're just good at campaigning and giving speeches and being charismatic. And so there's an aspect of that to celebrity as well. It's almost like you have to separate, and we're seeing this now. You got to separate the job from the process of getting the job. And just because you can get the job doesn't mean you're the person qualified to have the job.
I mean,
Well, and that's also discounting that celebrities are also intellectual people with, political goals. Like,
What?
They're just, they're human people too.
Get outta here.
You mentioned Al Franken.
Yeah.
I would love Al Franken for president. I kind of want him to run. I think he'd be a good person to go up against Trump because I think he could also beat Trump a little bit at his own game.
Yeah. And also because he's an upstanding moral person who has built a track record of like competency and decency.
And that's the other thing. Like,
Although he is a Jew.
Oh.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Gotta watch out with those getting in positions of power.
Yeah, they get shifty.
They do.
So
I just made the two of them uncomfortable.
so what happens is
To the happy place.
but Franken, here's the thing about Franken.
Yeah.
Franken spent, and I mean, it's hard not to compare these other celebrities to Trump, but like Franken spent a long time like writing about whether it was the comedic but political books that he would write and stuff like that, and then he ran for Senate, and he went Reagan, you know, whether you liked Reagan or not.
Well, Reagan had a machinery behind him, too.
But here's the other thing about Reagan. At least Reagan was, you know, he was president of Screen Actors Guild, so there was a little bit more to. Then he was governor.
Yeah.
Then he was president. He didn't just race out and run for president, which I feel like we're more likely now to have people do that and get into the position that we are in now.
What do you think Mark Zuckerberg's been quietly up to this last year?
Well,
just showing up at random people's homes in Idaho. They don't want him there. He's just there. What do you think he's doing?
No, Zuckerberg. Could you think Zuckerberg's a different kind of celebrity?
No, the problem with Zuckerberg is he can't get past the fact that he's got a very punchable face.
He can't get past the fact,
like he looks like a creep, and that movie didn't do him any favors.
No, because the social. Considering I know really nothing about Zuckerberg, like
Yeah.
I think of him as the character in that movie, and that's not. I don't want that guy as the president.
Well, I don't want the guy that's. I mean,
But I take him over Trump.
Like who? Yeah.
I mean, I take him over Trump.
Really? Wow, bold statement. You take him over Trump. Who wouldn't you take out? Who would be so deplorable? They'd be like, you know what? We're good. We're gonna ride this train out.
I think Trump got elected because he was so mean. I think that people were like, they just wanted to see what he would do.
Too, and he's funny. I mean, he's got this weird. And people who are out with him one-on-one say that he's actually really funny. When you're like directly with him, he does have a charm to him. You know,
but I think
it's
the
weird and
people
creepy,
that,
but he's got one.
I think like a lot of the base that voted for him were just so wrapped up in like all the sensational, nasty things he was saying, and they got energized by like bullying. It's so bizarre.
Are there any celebrities you'd like to see run?
Well, I thought Michelle Obama was great during the election. I mean, she really stood out as presidential material.
But I mean, like
no celebrities.
Is there like some like oh, I really like the situation on the Jersey Shore. He should run for president.
Oh yeah,
like,
situation.
Is there like, you know?
I love Katy Perry. I would love to just see her in office, just because I think she's got, you know, she's
everything would be candy colored.
Everything would be happy. You know, there'd be fireworks everywhere.
I remember
or Oprah. I would say. I mean, Oprah has the ability to. She's got a base, and she would get.
Well, no, she has something she can activate the. Her
she probably has an army. Like she could get people to mobilize.
I'd vote for Oprah.
I would.
I remember a couple of months ago there was a fake story. I think it might have been an April Fool's joke, and it actually bummed me out. That George Takei was going to run for Congress, and I'm like, you know what? This is somebody who's been very politically active over the last few years. It's a congressman position, like you know. I said, yeah, good for George Takei, and he's like, no, I'm not doing that. And I'm like,
don't be ridiculous.
But I thought, like, I could have seen that. Like, I would vote for George Takei.
It'll be interesting to see who ends up getting more into offices and more politically active.
Sean, any celebrity? The Rock.
No, he's got no business. No, he's not. Stop it with The Rock, okay? Stop it.
He'd look great in office.
I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think who I would care enough to vote. Like, they'd have to prove that they're like serious about it and that they are going in for the right reasons. You know, not just because they think it'll do something for their ego or for their vanity. And I can't help but feel like even someone like George Clooney, or if they ran, there's still an element of look at me-ism. But it'd have to be someone like an Al Franken, who's kind of a middle of the road, not a superstar, but has had celebrity, lived in the limelight in some capacity. Maybe Stephen Colbert.
Yeah,
he'd be great.
Yeah, he's a decent man.
But he will never do it.
Nah.
Jon Stewart?
No, Jon Stewart has gotten too bitter and cranky, and I'm good without Jon Stewart running. There was that fantasy of Jon Stewart becoming president of what was it, Man of the Year.
Oh, yeah.
No, we don't need Jon Stewart for president. Sorry.
I thought you were going to say Justin Bieber.
Well, he's Canadian. He can't run. He's not 35.
Change the rules. We
He's
did for
a
everything
young
else.
Canadian.
He's a young Canadian. Yeah, I mean, Carly Rae Jepsen.
Oh, yeah.
I'd vote for her.
I would
Would
vote
you?
for her.
Yeah, why not?
All right.
I would just vote for everybody.
Hey, I
you know
just
what?
made you, and this is crazy, but here's my number. Do I
Everybody
have your
moving.
vote on Tuesday?
Yeah, it's catchy.
Well, so clearly we haven't solved the political system.
No.
Okay.
Kid Rock will never be a senator.
Ooh,
We'll see.
we will see.
Although
That's what we all said.
I think I said Trump wouldn't be president.
What if Kid Rock runs with The Rock, so it'd be Rock?
Oh,
Rock
The Rock
Yeah.
on the ticket?
Rock Squared. Oh, I guess if it was Rock Squared for like their marketing, they're
Well, I mean,
The people
Americans can't
voted-
do math, so.
yeah,
know
they
what's-
probably wouldn't know what that means.
You know what's funny about the whole thing with the jokes about The Rock running for president? I have no idea what Dwayne Johnson's political beliefs are.
No, he
keeps
has
that
them.
very, I'm willing to say he's probably a Democrat only because Elizabeth Warren is the biggest fan of his TV show Ballers, which is still the weirdest thing to me.
I'm surprised that no one was tweeting though. I didn't see a lot of tweets at Elizabeth Warren when Ballers premiered on
I
Sunday.
saw a couple in my feed,
Okay.
actually. Elizabeth Warren, her favorite TV show is Ballers. I
That
don't know
is
if you
so
know.
funny.
It's in her book, in the first page of her book. She talks about how her and her husband were heading upstairs to the bedroom. They were going to watch Ballers together. And it's like, what?
That's
what
so
is
random.
happening? And then when she wrote a letter in support of the WGA writers, if they were going to go on strike, she talked about her love of Ballers. It's so weird. Because it's just it's a very forgettable show.
But at least it's a trashy, forgettable show.
So, before you made a statement where you said LA is difficult to find friends, well, that's because you didn't hang out at Sardos. Sardos Karaoke Bar and Grill.
Oh, yeah.
Let me real fast here.
When did Sardos open? Do you even know?
14 and a half years ago.
Okay.
Oh,
I started
long time.
going there 12 years ago. Almost the same week I moved here. I moved here, and my roommate, Jared Garcia, an old friend of mine, he had a buddy who worked at a telemarketing place with him, and
I'm
said,
sorry.
yeah, well,
That's tough.
It is tough. And he said, his buddy goes, well, Monday nights, and there are these cheap margaritas at Sardos. We go, and what's Sardos? And we went.
And your life was changed forever.
But you know what? It's funny because it's a little stupid thing. We went. It was just a regular bar. And I didn't even sing karaoke. They did karaoke 7 nights a week there, and I'm not singing karaoke.
Did you ever sing karaoke? Did you end up getting up?
Over the past 12 years, yes.
Okay.
Many times. Probably one of those times will be after this podcast. So, it's interesting, though, you say change your life forever, because it's weird. You go to this little bar, and for whatever reason, we kept going. And it really did change my life, because most of my close friends and relationships out here, I can directly trace back to this bar. And even if it's my friend Melody said, I didn't meet Melody at Sardos, but I met this guy, Zach, who I met Melody through. And she's like, oh, wait, if you never went to that bar, you wouldn't be going to my wedding. I'm like, that's right.
Wow.
Even my involvement in the storytelling scene, in a weird way, I feel like a lot of that came through people I met through Alyssa Vaughn, who I met at Sardos.
Who is dating
Zach Fox, who I met at Sardos.
Wow.
This bar is closing down. The rent has gotten too damn high.
No.
Yeah, that's your platform right there.
Is it relocating or it's just closing?
Nope, it's closing.
He couldn't find another location, and there's all the issues regarding park. There was a lot of ample parking because it's a strip mall, and for him to move somewhere else, there's issues with parking spots, which is a whole other public zoning and a city planning issue, which I can get into, but we're not going to right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's his big problem.
Yeah.
You just nailing that. And he's actually thinking of moving to Vegas. I mean, this is...
Are you going to what now? Sunday nights, you got to catch the Burbank Airport to Las Vegas? Just to
No, he has to move to Vegas.
You can move to Vegas?
I'm not going to move to Vegas.
You have to. Sardos will be there.
But it's not going to be the same Sardos.
No, it won't be.
And that's the thing. Other people are like, well, you and your friends will find another bar to hang out. No, there's no way at this point in my life. I'll find other bars. I might even find other bars where I become friendly with staff like I did here. But it's at this point in my life, I'm not going to build those relationships again. I'm not going to... It's a different thing. And it made me think about, like... I mean, the businesses I've loved have closed and places I've liked
The Radio
changed.
Shacks.
You know, I mean...
The Blockbusters.
Back on Long Island, there was a bar that I hung out at for a good 2.5 years, and I booked shows there. I had a key to the place.
You had a key?
Yeah, and they closed that bar down because the owner snorted all the profits.
Oh.
But I mean, even that wasn't there was something, and maybe at the time in my life, it was something very special. So I wanted to talk about, like, Diana, have there been places like that in your life that then all of a sudden they're just gone?
It's so funny that the way you talk about it like it's an ex. You're just so devastated. I go to a lot. I mean, I go to a lot of different places. There's not like one place that I'm like, well, it's still open, but there's not one place that's like my go-to spot. But I remember when I first moved to LA, there was a Trader Joe's on Santa Monica, and I remember going there, and the day it closed, I was the day before it closed, and I had no idea it was going to close. And I was like just wandering around with the news. Like I had just been told that somebody was going to die. And I was going up to all these different people being like, did you know that they're closing the Trader Joe's?
And they're like, lady, get away from me.
No, everybody was the same way. They were like, I know. I don't know why. So it took a while. They have a new one there. It took...
There was never another Trader Joe's to be found in the Los Angeles area.
But that one had ample parking. It was...
That's something no Trader Joe's has.
Nah.
I mean, you didn't have to go into a parking structure. It was in like a big lot. But now they built one of those high-rise buildings over it. I mean, it took 8 years. But they came back. Trader Joe's just reopened on Santa Monica near La Brea. But it's not the same. Oh. It's lovely. I mean, there's wide aisles. The coffee's not as good. But
okay.
I remember that day.
They're stingy on the free samples.
I remember that day vividly.
So your Sardos is Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
But a specific Trader Joe's.
A specific Trader Joe's. I love Trader Joe's, though. I go all the time.
Sean?
So there are places... There's a pizzeria that's actually very close to here where I grew up. And it's still open. And this is like, to me, the pizza there tastes like childhood. And I may go years without ever having their pizza, but just knowing that it exists and I can have it makes me very happy. And I think I'd be really upset if I found out it was closing. The closest thing to this is there was a video store right on Burbank between Woodman and Fulton called Video 8. Video 9. And it was around the corner from where I grew up, and we used to walk there all the time, and that's where I rented so many movies. And there was the Indian dude that ran it, and his name was Husheng Kushvinger, and we thought that was the funniest name in the world. And I think he was a Sikh, not quite sure, but that's where I would the old chunky. This was pre-Blockbuster, just like
local.
Wow. This was just like your local video store run by your friendly immigrant.
I used to go to like St. James Video.
Yeah, and every time we tried to rent the rated R movies, and he wouldn't let us get the rated R movies, and you'd look at those box covers and be like, the secret of my success, what is this movie? Or my stepmother is an alien. Like, what is going on here? That woman looks attractive. What is this, you know?
You know what? The concept of video stores in general disappearing in a weird way makes me sad, nostalgic.
Me too. It makes me sad.
I went back to Manhattan, and back in college I used to hang out at Kim's Underground Video, and I was horrified to see that it went from like a 3-story giant building on St. Mark's Place to like a
truck.
Yeah, like a very small storefront now.
It was exciting. Like, for example, when, like, Home Alone is coming out on video, like, when? How many copies is he going to get? We had to get on the list. He would have his little clipboards where he would announce, we're taking, like, reservations. And I remember once I was renting a movie with my dad, and they had a little cardboard stand on the countertop. It wasn't that big. It must have been about 12 inches. And it was advertising Back to the Future was coming out on video. And I go, Dad, what'd that guy do to his car? He's like, I don't know. because I just saw a car on fire. I had no idea what that movie was. I missed that place, and then now with like the Barnes and Noble's closing at the West Side Pavilion, like that for me was tragic.
Sad.
Borders. I used to hang out at Borders a lot. I always preferred Borders.
Really, I was Barnes and Noble guy.
I was Barnes and Noble.
Well, you know, in Smithtown, where I grew up, we had a Borders. We didn't have a Barnes and Noble. Now we, oddly enough, have a Barnes and Noble, and the Borders closed.
Okay.
But so we would go to Borders all the time. That would just be like where you went and
that
like
sticker on the back of your book.
I'll meet you at Borders.
I was actually, I really didn't like Borders. Like I was aggressively against Borders for some reason. And
I was
don't know
aggressively
why.
against Barnes and Noble.
But they have the couches at Barnes and Noble, and usually a Starbucks or coffee shop.
The Borders I went to had coffee
I just remembered
shops.
another dread from my childhood. When I was in my teens, right on Burbank and Fulton, where that little shopping center is, there's like a Subway there. There used to be a place called Book Grinders, and it was an independent bookstore with a coffee shop built in. Nothing like this had ever existed before, and it was 3 blocks away. I could walk there, and I would sit for hours and not drink coffee because I was like 12, and I would just sit and read, and they would have like poetry readings, and it was fantastic.
Oh,
Now,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to shit on everything you guys have just said by saying none of you built a community out of these places.
Fine.
Like I built. So let me
You
ask you.
didn't build that.
I paid for the taxes for the roads that got me there.
Have you counted up how much money you've probably spent over the years?
No, I was thinking about that today. I'm glad I got to have one more birthday party there. Sean, let me ask you this question, because Diana, you can't answer this because you don't really know me. Ultimately, is this a good thing? Do I need to move on in my life?
I was about to ask you, maybe this is a blessing in disguise.
Well, I'm gonna miss it. It was important.
It could be. You know what? There'll be other shithole dive karaoke bars.
You know what it is though. I think, and I was talking to some people who hadn't been there in years, and now people coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
People have been there who met their husbands there. This girl walked in the other night, who broke out into tears.
Oh my god, I have to go before they close.
Well, you got
You get till Friday night.
You get till Friday night, and if you're listening to this podcast, it's
closed. So fuck you.
Yeah.
But
So don't show up there unless you want to go to a Panera Bread.
But I talked to a lot of people who said, like, I just like knowing it was there still. Kind of like you said about the pizza place. And it's also like, I'm going to meet people in my life that I'm going to wish, like, oh, I wish you could have seen this
Back in the day, yeah. Oh, the glories that was Sardos.
romanticizing this place completely out of proportion, but again,
I'm surprised all these people didn't get together to put on a show to save the bar.
Yeah.
some people talk about.
Where's
look,
the petition?
It was
Donation box.
There are some deeper problems with the place that we're not going to get
That
into.
Mickey Rooney and Judy Garland cannot save.
At one point, Kiefer Sutherland wanted to buy the bar.
Oh.
Are
Are you going to drive people by the spot where it used to be?
Here's the thing.
Every time they
There's a
visit LA?
rumor that it's going to become a Mexican restaurant, and I am going to do to that Mexican restaurant what I did not that long ago when I went back to Long Island and went to the craft beer bar that my old bar Saints and Sinners from Long Island turned into, where I will sit there and I will just loudly complain about this place is pretty good, but the place here before, where I loudly talk about it, and I was sitting at this like hipster, very nice little bar that's Saints and Sinners, the bar I used to hang out on Long Island. Used to be, and I was like, yeah, Saints and Sinners always used to smell like piss. This place doesn't smell like piss. What's wrong with it?
And then they pissed in your beer.
Or you could find a new bar and make new friends, too.
Blasphemy. I told him this Mexican place is going to have a bar and a karaoke, and nothing will change.
And I'm
That's
never
gonna have
gonna
tremendous
leave like a
food.
crazy.
You're just going to be fat with chimichangas.
So, I am not the most tech savvy person, Sean. I don't know if you knew that about me.
I've gathered.
So, like, if I get a new computer or a new phone, I'm always filled with complete dread. I know there are these people who are like, I can't wait for the new iPhone 7, I'm gonna go buy. Like, no, I want nothing to do with it or anything.
Shocked you still have a flip phone.
But my old phone was getting a little slow, and didn't have a lot of memory, and the battery would drain super fast. So it was time. I went to Verizon to get a new iPhone. First of all, the iPhone is a very frustrating experience because first you have to make sure you have backed it up. And I backed everything up onto iTunes, and as I was told to do. I backed it all up. And yet, as I backed it up, I'm like, well, this isn't going to work. But I backed it up, and I looked at iTunes, and everything was there. Everything was still there. This is great. So I go there, and I'm talking to the people, and I'm like, what phone should I get? And they're like, get this phone, and the price was good, and I'm like, I will get this. And it was the iPhone 7, and I said, good, this is great, boom, get it for me. So they go in the back, they get the phone. I don't know what they're doing back there. They always take a long time back there. They come back with this iPhone 7. I put it in my hands. I go, wait a minute. How am I going to plug headphones into this? And they're like, oh, well, the headphones that work with it. How am I going to plug? And they say, how am I going to plug it into my car, though? I listen to everything, like, I listen to music and podcasts through my phone in my car. And my car is not equipped for a phone without a headphone jack. And they said, well, you're going to have to get a new car. And I said, you're going to have to go back there and get me a phone with a headphone jack, which they then did. Then I was told, everything will be backed up on your computer, it's fine. I'm like, you sure you can't just do it here? You can't just, shouldn't there be a wire that could go into one phone to the other phone? And it doesn't seem like a crazy idea. And they're like, we can't do that, because then it'll double all your contacts. All your contacts will be in there twice. And I said, who cares? Who cares? I'm not going to call everybody twice. I'll figure out. I'll go through and I'll individually delete them. I'm just telling you, I don't want to lose my pictures. I don't want to lose all my texts. I don't want to lose all this shit. And they're like, it will be fine. So, naturally, I get home, I plug in my phone, and the fucking iTunes crashes. It crashes. It says, you need to install an update. So I install the update, and when I install the update, it will not recognize my phone, and nothing I had saved on it was still there. So I lost everything. I'm sitting there downloading apps to download things to servers to download into my phone. I spent an hour just resaving every photo onto my phone. I had to re-download every app. I lost all my text messages, so I have no idea what the hell I was talking to anybody about. I call Apple support. Apple support says, well, just like reset the phone. And I'm like, yeah, this is the biggest bullshit thing. Everybody's a whole power cycle. Yeah. You know, if I've worked around engineers and television stuff, like power cycle. Yeah, you don't know what the fuck you're doing. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, reset it and tell me what happens. I said, well, if I reset the phone, I will hang up on you. And they're like, and they said, you're calling us from the phone? I said, what other phone would I be calling you from? And they're like, well, we will call you back in 5 minutes. I never heard from these people again, but I did get a telephone call asking how the service was, which I said was terrible. So, look, this is all a bunch of bullshit. There should be a fucking wire that goes in to the other phone and just transfer everything, and it should be done in the store. I don't know why these people don't want to touch your fucking phone, and that's why you, iPhone, or this week's Enemy of the Podcast, go fuck yourselves. It's 2017. Just do it in the store. You ever have any issues with phones and technical upgrades?
Oh my gosh, yes. Well, first of all, I loved the iPhone when I first got it, but the iPhone 6 I have now, and it has been a monster since it came out for me. It's like always dying. I went through the same thing where like I lost all of my contacts, and I always had to like reset it. The GPS doesn't work, and I always say that my phone's suicidal because it like falls out of my hand all the time and gets broken. Like she'll just like run out of my hand, and so I've had to like replace it over and over again because it just keeps getting broken. And now it's doing this new thing where it just turns off. So I think I am gonna have to upgrade to the 7.
How long have you had this phone?
Maybe a year.
Oh, you may still be under contract.
I think maybe I've had it 2 years, but it's been a mess. But technology in general, I don't understand.
It's stupid.
I don't understand it at all.
Well, clearly you know that I haven't had many problems. I did years ago have an issue with, it's what finally got me to the iPhone. I was a BlackBerry person, and then I did lose all my contacts in something stupid, and I had to, I lost everything, no backup, just like, I need every phone number in my life again. And the closest thing I've had to like a tech problem is I was in Vegas for work, and I put the phone in my mouth to hold it for a second, and the whole screen just went crack. Oh. But thankfully, at the Caesars Palace where I was staying, they had an Apple store, and I had Apple Care, and I went down there, and I paid my $99 deductible, and they handed me a brand new phone.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
No, first they were going to look at it, and they're like, well, give us one day. We're going to see if we can fix it and replace the screen. I'm like, fine. I come in the next day. and I was like phoneless for a day, and I come in the next day and they're like, couldn't fix it, here's a brand new one. I'm like, okay, like you have everything backed up on your iTunes? I'm like, yep. And they're like, all right, and I plugged into my computer and it put everything right back on the phone.
Now, it's not even recognizing my phone, my iTunes.
I don't know. I think part of it is...
That I don't have a Mac?
No, it also may be the version of the system software. I don't know, because you don't have a Mac is... I'm
you
not
need
sure.
to get a Mac and a new car.
But I'm just
to
like
match
super
your
tech
phone.
savvy. I mean, not super tech savvy, but these things make sense to me. Like I've never had problems with computers and hardware and software, so I can't really complain too much. Like
Yeah,
and it's also like I'm one of these people where it's intuitive for me, so I'll just fiddle around and it works. But then I'll touch someone else's stuff. I'm like, what the fuck? Like how? It's always dealing with this precarious house of cards that I don't know how it is standing, but somehow by the grace of their own incompetence it does. But what I find is that when someone else gives me something to like fix, as soon as I touch one thing, the whole system, everything just falls apart. You know, they're keeping it together with the technological equivalent of spit and Scotch tape. So I try not to get involved with like messing with people's phones. I'll do something. I'll take my mom's phone and I'll upgrade all her software. You know, things like that.
I
But
am not good at my upgrades. I just
that's
let
part of
them
the problem.
pile
There's
up.
a reason why it's there. Like you need the upgrades because it cleans up a lot of the problems.
Oh, maybe that's why my phone doesn't work as
it
well.
could. Yeah.
Yeah, I always hate like the little changes from the upgrades, but
But
I
they're
always
necessary.
do them.
I
But there's
should
also
do
a
them.
lot of upgrades that are not cosmetic. It's behind the scenes stuff. You're not even realizing that are important. So
You know what annoys me is when you plug in your iPhone and it launches iTunes.
You can
and
turn that off.
The iPhoto. You can? Okay.
you can just
Because
do-
it takes forever to launch and it freezes everything
no,
else.
you can go into iTunes. You can go into on your iPhone. No, it's in iTunes and iPhoto. You can say don't launch
Oh,
when
okay.
iPhone is plugged in.
See, I needed to come on this podcast.
There you go. This has
I'm
been car
very
talk.
worried. I gotta make sure I got all this shit backed up.
You can
The other
use
thing
an
that I do is
extra
I use
hard
so
drive.
all my contacts, and this is a whole. I don't use the Apple iCloud. All my contacts and everything in my email, everything is through Google.
My
So-
contacts are in the cloud.
But are they the Apple Cloud or the Google Cloud?
I think they're in the Apple cloud.
See, that's mine are not in the Apple Cloud. They're in the Google Cloud. So all I do is once I log in with my Google username
It
and password,
uploads it.
it pulls everything down. Yeah.
One day you're gonna have to show me something.
Well, I don't know because that's the thing. Once again, I know how to do it because this is how I've been doing it
But
for
I got
years.
an iPhone. You got an iPhone.
Right, but everything is all my data is linked to my Google account. You have an AOL account.
But I feel like all of my data is on my Apple Cloud and my Google Cloud. And Google, actually, the other day I got an email from my sister, and she was like, Google Plus is sending me things that are on your Google
Plus.
Cloud.
I don't know. You got to turn off Google Plus.
Let me
I
tell
don't
you
know.
what.
And I have soldiers that are adding me on Google Plus all the time.
Are they?
Soldiers.
Yes.
Got a weird fan base.
50-year-old men are adding me from like...
That's your audience.
Yeah, he found you people.
I'm like, how did you find me and who are you? No.
I'm gonna say this.
but thank you for
A
serving
lot
our
of dick
country.
pics in
yeah.
your Google Plus circles.
No, they just want to see... apparently, they just want to follow me.
Oh, I'm sure.
Weird.
That's where it ends.
Very strange.
So
Very
I will just end this note with saying the people at the stores of all these places completely useless, the fucking idiots.
But at least there's a lot of them.
I disagree. They've been very nice to me. I like going to
They've
Apple.
been nice to
No,
me,
they've
but
been
they've been
helpful.
As soon as they got your
useless.
money.
I used to go take classes at Apple, and it was so fun. They would teach me Final Cut Pro
Yeah.
and like all the different things. I enjoyed it, but I was there with like all the retired people.
Well,
See,
yeah.
Will, you need to go take a Final Cut Pro class. That's what you're missing.
Okay, I always like to end the show.
I will end it on a positive note. This conversation about Apple by saying that I've had a positive experience.
Tim Cook.
Well, I always like to end on a weird note.
Okay.
And a doctor was readying a 67-year-old woman for cataract surgery in November and discovered bluish masses in her eyes were actually 17 contact lenses mashed together.
This is a terrifying story. You wear contacts too?
No, I don't wear contacts. I can't. They scare me.
Yeah, they scare me too.
Well, I'll talk about this. You finish the story.
All of the lenses were monthly disposable contacts that the woman had just, I guess, forgotten
She
about.
just forgot.
Optometry Today reported, we were really surprised that the patient didn't notice it because it would cause quite a lot of irritation while it was just sitting there. Yeah, because it's 17 contact lenses.
As a man who's worn contact lenses for more than 15 years, I'm the only one here qualified to discuss this story. First of all, this was the most exciting thing that Optometry Today has ever. Their subscriptions went through the roof. This is the equivalent of Trump being elected and the New York Times and the Washington Post seeing a boom in subscriptions. This was their, I don't understand this story. Your contact lenses are there. You feel them. You're aware of them. I wear monthlies. Like, if I fall asleep for an hour and wake up, I feel gunky and disgusting for like 3 hours afterwards. Apparently, what this woman said was I could... It depends how poor this woman's eyesight is, because if your contact is out, you can't see. When it's in, you can see, and that's how you kind of know that it's there.
Wait a second. How did she...
Because you're putting a new one on top of that.
Seeing?
Well, and also, but like once you're stacking them on top of each other, I would imagine there'd be some sort of distortion effect.
Yeah.
And she said, "Oh yeah, my eyes hurt and were itchy and like irritated all the time," but I figured that was just a side effect of getting older.
Well, did she say how long the buildup of the 17 contacts
I mean, if there
were?
are monthlies.
Are they monthly or dailies?
But also, the doctor that did the consultation for the laser surgery.
Monthly.
Monthly.
They don't just go in and start zapping your eye. You go in for a consultation. They look at stuff. Who was the doctor that did the first round? Let me tell you, this guy needs optometry today. Needs a full-scale, Watergate-level investigation on this asshole.
So it was at least 17 months, at the least. It was probably more.
And I can tell you,
that.
as a monthly wearer, monthly is a suggestion. You can wear them for 2 months. They are FDA approved for 3 months.
Don't they stick to your eye
No,
if you
they
don't
don't
take
stick,
them
but they
off?
start getting gunky. Like you can tell
But
once
they're
you
painful. I heard
they're
friends.
yucky.
Something you just said.
Yeah.
You said, like, if you fall asleep with them in. And
Yeah.
So, like, you can never take an unplanned nap?
No, I can. It's just like it's a little. I have to go and spray some like lubricant in my eye, or it's fine. You kind of rub your eye a lot, and it's just a pain. Like I would never sleep for the night with them, or like if I'm like drunk and I pass out, I like wake up in the middle of the night. It's like that's the first thing I do. Is
Why'd
get them
you
out.
go contacts, not glasses?
Well, because I hate wearing glasses in general. I don't
like wearing them.
I don't like the smears and the lens flares.
Oh, I don't like that.
And my eyesight is so bad that even with glasses, I don't get... the glasses have to be so refined. The lenses have to be so graded down. And I also don't get as good of vision as I would with
you
contacts.
get better vision
I get
with
better vision with
contacts.
I have negative 750 in each eye with an astigmatism.
My vision isn't that bad.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have a weird thing about the eye doctor. I've talked about this
Yes.
before, where like I've almost like I've like thrown punches at him.
that was me at first, but I got used to.
Oh, I'm that way.
doing
They have
stuff.
to hold me down to put eye drops in my eyes.
Yeah,
because I am very terrified of
Well,
anything
I was also
eye-related.
my eye doctor told me this new eye doctor who I really like, even though like I tell her like I'm terrified of you. She says one with getting close to the eyes. She says actually. She finds that problem is more in men than women because
Really?
women put eye makeup and stuff on. Men don't do anything often where it gets close to their eye like that. Two, she said, I have very long eyelashes. And she says...
Humble brag.
And she said, so you get closer to do something, or she gets closer to do something, my eyelashes feel it like before, and I start like flinching and blinking. So...
Their eyelashes protect you.
Well, you know
Yeah.
what this means? So when the fucking dust storm apocalypse comes, you will survive and I will die because I will just walk into it wide-eyed as the particulates go and shred up my cornea.
Yeah.
Because I will no longer have the defensive instinct to close my eyes in the face of danger.
Well, and I will survive the most because I don't wear contacts or glasses.
Well, yeah.
Would you...
You will be leading us.
I will be queen.
One last question for you, Sean, about contacts. Or about just vision in general. Would you ever get LASIK? Have you ever thought about that? Because
Yes,
I know friend
I
of
would.
the podcast, Bob Blankenheim, got it.
I would. I just don't know why. I mean, it's expensive, and I'm also just like, I don't want lasers in my eyes. And eventually, you still need reading glasses anyway, so what's the point?
I'm
holding out. I want robot eyes. I want that Terminator cornea.
Yeah, you're going to get it one
Yeah.
day.
It's on the horizon.
And on that note, Diana, thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much for having me on the podcast.
One more time, tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me at www.dianavarco.com, at Diana Varco, and at Shattered Solo.
Excellent. You can find me on social media at the Sean David, so do so.
You can find me on Twitter at the Real Will Link. You all got a few more weeks of my Orphan Black videos that I've been posting.
Yeah. They're your hostage videos.
Only a few episodes left. It's been a fun season. The last couple episodes have been really good. So
You're losing Sardos. You're losing Orphan Black.
Your life is falling apart.
it kind of is.
Not good.
Also, September 9th, I'm doing Tell It. That's at Open Space. That's September 9th. Tell It. I'm writing a new piece.
Yeah, this is exciting.
Pablo last night, who runs the show, and I said, Pablo, I'm working on a new piece, so now I actually have to start working on a new piece.
Get
Oh,
on
I'm
it.
doing it August 11th.
Different show.
Oh.
What
I
show are
lied.
you doing August 11th?
I'm doing Oscar's travel show with Megan.
Did I say Oscar?
No.
You said Pablo.
Okay.
Pablo. I
Okay.
lied. Cut that
Oh,
part out
I'm
of the
going
podcast.
to that show.
Yeah, I'm doing it.
going
What's
to
that
that
show called again?
I don't know. I have no idea the
It's
name
about
of it.
travel.
Suitcase stories.
Suitcase stories.
But I'm going to that show.
I'm not cutting that.
I'm going.
that part out.
That was a joke.
I misspoke.
I'm doing Suitcase Stories in October. I was asked to do it in September, and I said, well, that's stupid since I'm going on a trip in
Oh, you're
September.
going to
I
London.
should come back with a story.
Yeah,
But
I'm not doing Tell It.
All right, good story. So, we'll be around.
next week on the show, you're gonna
Big
be,
week.
Big week. We're very excited. We're gonna get real film geeky next week. Perfect for the dog days of summer. Sean and I are gonna be breaking down our top 25. Jesus, why didn't we go 10?
Because that's what... No, 10. I can't do 10.
Top
10.
25 films of the century so far. So that should be a fun little episode. And then, oh fuck me.
Oh, I saw this. I was like, I can't wait for this.
Then the week after that, we
Mm-hmm.
have a stuntman on, which would be
Ooh,
interesting.
That's exciting.
Not Peter O'Toole.
No,
Okay.
that's a pretty deep cut.
Yeah.
His name is Malachi Mutakabri.
Muda Kabir. Can you not
Muda
read? I think you have tracking problems.
Here.
Malaki Muda Kabir.
Yes.
Yeah, him. So he'll be on, and we're gonna talk.
And I'm gonna butcher his name.
And we're gonna stunt.
Yeah.
Oh, it's exciting.
Yeah, and when we're done with that episode, he's gonna teach us to take a fall off the top of this building.
Yes.
Actually, I think it's gonna be my building.
Your building.
I'll take a
fall
fall.
off the top of you. Okay.
Yeah.
It's gonna throw you through a plate glass window.
Okay, bring it.
All right.
And on that note,
Thank you so much, Diana.
Thank you guys for having me. This was great.
awesome. And for the Little Sean Podcast, I'm Sean David.
I'm Willie.
And we is finished.
We're finished.